Hello there, and welcome to the Chit and Chat, encouraging one another podcast. I'm your host, Jody Sheffield. Before we dive into interviews and music, I want to pause and thank you for being part of this podcast. And I am not a professional podcaster by any means. I will just say that now. I've been doing it 4 months. I think I'm learning from things, and I hope I'm getting better at my editing. And I'm just having fun talking to people, sharing life, sharing encouragement, and I hope you are too. And I hope you had a chance to listen to some episodes, either some of them or all of them or parts of them, while you're driving stuck in traffic on I-5. Maybe you're out running errands and you're paying bills and you're getting kids to and from soccer or whatever. Thank you for giving us a listen. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're getting something out of these episodes. And I talk to people all around the world, from comedians, musicians, nonprofit organizations, and much, much more. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is Chit Chat, encouraging one another podcast.
From me.
That was the first part of the song, Damn Sure For Me by Joel Gibson Jr. You can go to his website at joelgibsonjrmusic.com. You can see his schedule, where he's going to be at, different concerts he's doing, and as well, you can buy merchandise. They have hoodies, t-shirts, hats, all kinds of apparel you can buy. Also there on his website, you can go down, you can see where there's some highlights about him, where he's been, and albums he's released. Back in 2020, Joel Gibson won Best at Kitsap for his outdoor concerts. He is going all over the place, and literally, he was in Nashville a month ago, Arizona, did a number of concerts there. For booking, you can email Brittany Gibson at joelgibsonjrmusic@yahoo.com, and maybe he'll be in your neck of the woods. Check out joelgibsonjrmusic.com for more details.
It's a really tough bridge and divide for many veterans when they come home from active service. What we try to do is bridge that divide. My name is Brandon Marty, and I'm the CEO and managing partner of Veteran Roasters Coffee. There's some great skills that can be transitioned to many different industries within coffee, and coffee's fun. We're all veterans here, veteran-owned, veteran-operated, and so there's a strong connection and trust that we all have in each other through similar service, and we support each other both personally and professionally in that growth. It's all about people here, and my goal is really to help them kind of establish a new life for them and their families, help them understand the benefits and resources available, and really create a pathway to the new phase of their lives.
My guest today on the Chit and Chat Encouraging Podcast episode is a man who has worn many hats. He has many hats, and he has been has so many cool interactive jobs, from talk show host, both sports and in general, pre and post game host, sports anchor, field reporter, event MC, product spokesman. He has done copywriting, public speaking, interviewed a ton of people. It is my honor today, and I've been a big fan of his since I got to Washington State back in 1993-ish. I am honored today to have a sit down with New York Vinnie, and we have some laughter, we have some fun. Sit back and relax. This is Chit and Chat with New York Vinnie.
Hello there.
Hey, Jody, how are you?
Good, yourself? Hear me all right?
Yeah, can hear you great.
Sweet. I am honored today to have you on, by the way. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule.
No problem.
You are a man with many hats.
I don't know about that. Well, I do have quite a few hats. I collect hats, so that's an astute observation.
Nice. Before we dive into some great conversation, I want to pick your brain with a few icebreaker questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
Do you remember your very first job?
My very first job?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I do.
Where was that at?
Oh, you want to know? I thought you wanted to know. I thought it was like a memory test. No, I pumped gas in my father's gas station.
Oh, wow. Where was that at?
I was in New York.
Okay.
And he used to take me
My
there
grandpa-
on Saturdays, and I would pump gas and clean windshields.
That's when gas was pretty cheap, right?
I think if I remember right, it was 29 cents, 29.9 for high test, and 25.9 for regular.
Wow. That was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was. It was 1962, I think. 61, actually. When he
Okay.
first, yeah. So I was like 6 years old. And that was my first job.
Do you have a favorite sports team?
Do I have a favorite sports team? I have many favorite sports teams.
You gotta pick one.
One, the Mets. Oh yeah, no doubt in my mind what that is.
Okay. And do you have a favorite player growing up?
Favorite player growing up?
Yes, sir.
Ed Kranepool.
I'm not sure who he is.
Ed Kranepool was the first baseman for the New York Mets, one of the original first basemen.
Oh, wow.
And he was, we all grew up with him. He was a young kid. And one day he came into my father's gas station while I was not there. And he had a 62 Rambler. And one of the trunnions broke on it on the Triborough Bridge, and they towed him into my father's gas station. And my father fixed his car, so Ed Kranepool gave him an autographed baseball for me.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Which I still have to this day somewhere.
I have Billy Martin's autograph on a baseball somewhere. I saw the Yankees and the Rangers play. I grew up in Arkansas, and my whole family was for the Rangers. I was a Yankee guy. I like Ron Guidry because he's from Louisiana. But yeah, I got old crusty Billy Martin's autograph.
There you go. You know, it's funny. I've never been a really big autograph guy. And I've had opportunities over the years to get many autographs, but I've just never. There's very few people. Somebody has to mean something to me for me to want to get their autograph.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some people, there's certain people that I've collected their autographs over the years, and I've been very happy about that. I've met two presidents and did not get either one of them their autographs, but I got a picture with one. So
who'd you meet?
I met Biden. I interviewed Jimmy Carter many years ago. And I met Biden about 2.5, 3, maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
4 years ago, something like that.
If you could go back in time to watch one sporting event, which one would you choose?
the Christians and the Lions.
That's a few years ago.
Yeah, well, greatest comeback story in sports, right?
Okay. Give me some details.
Well, for fun in the Roman Colosseum, the Romans used to keep the Christians in a cage,
Okay.
and they would feed them to the lions.
Oh, yep.
Don't you read the Bible?
Yeah.
And when they would read them, they would feed them to the lions, and they'd eat them up, and everybody would sit there and drink beer and applaud.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so I would like to, but yet the Christians endured, and they came back.
Yes, we did. Yep.
Yep. And so now, so it's really the biggest comeback story of all time, and I would have liked to have seen some of that.
Okay. Are you a bigger baseball fan or football fan or what sport?
Baseball.
Baseball?
Yeah, I'm a much bigger baseball fan than any other sport.
I'm giving you the honor to put 4 baseball figures on Mount Rushmore. Who are you putting up there? No pressure.
4 baseball figures on Mount Rushmore.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. All right. Well, so they got to be stoned, is what you're telling me. Let's see. Well, you'd have to put Babe Ruth. You'd have to put Cy Young. You would have to put you would have to put Babe Ruth, Cy Young. You would you'd have to put Happy Chandler. And you would have to put Jackie Robinson.
Okay. It's a very good foursome there.
Yeah, well, you have, the greatest home run hitter of all time, and a guy who basically saved baseball. You have the greatest pitcher of all time. I don't think any pitcher will ever win 511 games.
Mm-hmm.
You have the man who got rid of who called up the clubs and said, there's going to be a black guy playing. You better damn well shut your mouth and play and not give me any grief.
Yep.
Maybe the last. And you have the guy who was the black guy that played.
For my listeners out there, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself, a little brief bio about who New York Vinnie is?
Oh, I hate telling people about myself. Let's see. I was born in a log cabin in New York City on Fifth Avenue back in 1955, and I always want, I grew up among the people, and then one day, I was anointed. I grew up like everybody else. I grew up in New York City. I learned a lot of things early on in my life. I learned the biggest lesson I learned was that there was a whole fantastic world that I was living in the middle of. And as a young boy, I took advantage of it. I got on the subway train. I went to Manhattan. I went down to Greenwich Village. I saw different people and different ways of thinking and all these things. I wasn't the brightest kid in school, really. As a matter of fact, I got a lot of trouble in school. As I progressed through school, I found that I learned much more from a 3-minute record than I ever could learn in school.
Okay.
So I would go into Manhattan a lot, even at a very young age, and learn what was going on in there. And then also I would work at my father's gas station and help out there. And he had different gas stations when I was growing up. He had 2 or 3 at a time sometimes. And I would work there and pump gas to earn a little bit of money. And I was interested in performing arts and drama. That's what I went to school for.
Okay.
And decided that I had a problem when I couldn't really remember lines that well, which is in those days was a problem. It was before teleprompters.
Right.
But I also loved radio. I loved listening to radio. Cars and radio went together so well that I said, I could do that.
Yeah.
And finally, one day when I decided I was going to leave New York, and I went out to San Francisco and got a job at a radio. I worked in the automotive industry for a while, but then I decided, well, if I'm ever going to do this, I'm going to do it. And I got a job at a radio station, and somebody hung the nickname New York Vinnie on me because you may have noticed I have a bit of a New York accent.
Yes, sir.
And from there, I just worked my butt off and did every job that nobody else wanted to do, took every shift that nobody else wanted to do, worked holidays, worked weekends, worked nights, worked whenever nobody else wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I got, I worked my way up to sports director of a station in San Francisco, and the station went under. The same day the station went under, KJR up here called me. And I came up here and enjoyed a very nice amount of success.
Who gave you some growing up doing your ethic seems phenomenal of working? Was your dad kind of the focal point for your work ethic?
Yeah, he worked a lot. He worked hard.
Did you learn?
He was he was a guy that whenever he got knocked down, and he got knocked down a lot when I was a kid, he got back up again.
Did you learn from that as well? With your experiences?
Yeah, I learned that. I learned that well. That the only time he didn't get up was when he died. Every other time he got knocked down before that, he got up, he dusted himself off, and he moved on to something else. He knew how to hustle. He knew how to work hard, and it definitely rubbed off on me to a degree.
Gotcha. What are you doing these days?
Well, I do a radio show every week on Saturday morning on KKNW, and it's it puts two of my loves together. It's centered around cars.
Oh, nice.
And so I get to do a show about cars and the car, the whole automotive lifestyle. And I get to test drive cars and write about them and talk about them. So I do that. And then I also do it 3 times a week, a show that streams on Facebook with my old partner from here, Michael Knight. And we try to provide a little levity from everything that's going on. We started it during the pandemic. We enjoy working with each other so much that we're hoping that one day somebody hires us back, to get back on the radio.
I got some more details about your experiences of KGR, but kind of curious, what's your favorite car to drive?
My favorite car to drive, anyone that's free.
Have you driven a Dodge Viper? I love a Dodge Viper. I'll never buy one, but I just drew Dodge Vipers look awesome. They look mean looking cars.
Yeah, they're nice. I'm more of a Corvette guy.
Okay.
It's definitely, if you had to say to me, well, okay, what's your favorite car? I've had 4 Corvettes in my life. 5 actually. And I'll probably have another one before I die. That's my favorite car. 60. I've had a couple of 62 Corvettes. That's my favorite year.
What colors you got?
The last one I had was like a Milano maroon.
Okay. When you began working in the radio, was there a mentor perhaps who encouraged you, who kind of took under your wing, or just kind of fly by the seat of your pants?
I was lucky enough to have several mentors. I was lucky enough to have to work. Most people, if they want to work in radio, they have to go to some small town and break in and work and do all of this stuff. And I figured out a way not to have to do that. The smallest market I ever worked in is Seattle.
Wow.
Oh, no, excuse me, Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Pittsburgh's smaller than Seattle. But I talked my way into a job at a music station in San Francisco. And at the same time, I went back to school and took classes at one of the local universities in broadcast, and got involved in the station there. And the station that I got involved in won the college radio station of the year award.
Oh, wow.
So I started to to see people there. There were people there that I talked to and I mentored. And then at this other station I worked at, I took a little bit from a lot of people. Because there was nobody comparable to me.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody was doing exactly what I was doing at that time, which was being a character, being a personality on the radio. But it's so much more than that. And so I had there's a guy, unfortunately, he's very sick right now. He's out in Idaho, but he was in San Francisco. His name is Norman Davis. And he taught me so much about music and how to present it. There was another guy, Dan Carlisle, who works as a DJ in San Francisco, and he taught me about connecting with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
And there was Michael Knight, who I work, we do the show together. He taught me so much again about talk radio and how to make the transition from music to talk. And when I got up here, there were a few people that kind of took me under their wing a bit, but for the most part, it was those guys in San Francisco that really, showed me how to do what I always call do radio right. To do it where you were a personality, to do it where people wanted to know what you were doing that day.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were somebody's friend, hey, Vinnie, what are you doing today? Well, that's what radio is. Radio is getting people to check in to see what you're doing today.
Right. Yep.
If you're successful at it, that's what happens. People check in and see. And then, and up here, once I started working with the Mariners at Cairo, Dave Niehaus was my biggest supporter.
Oh, wow.
And probably my biggest mentor. Dave really took a liking to me and taught me things, and we really got we got along fabulously, and taught me a lot about how to do it in a baseball environment. And I was lucky enough to do that and do it well enough that I got a regular job there, did the post-game show, wound up on TV, doing weekend sports and sometimes all week sports. It was, it was a bunch of people in TV that mentored me.
So I moved to Bremerton around 1990. I got stationed here in Bremerton for the Navy, and I turned on KJR, and I heard you and Michael Knight. I heard the Fabulous Sports Babe, McGraws and Gas. I've always been a big fan of sports radio, even sports in general. And you and Michael Knight always brought something special to each show. I was laughing. You'd go back and forth. I came across your podcast, as you mentioned earlier, with Michael Knight. You guys just cover everything and the kitchen sink in your podcast.
Yeah. That's what, because that's what people want. That, you don't have a friend that talks only about sports. You have a friend that talks about a lot of things.
Yep.
If your friend just talks about sports, you get kind of sick of listening to him after a while. But if you can talk about a lot of things, and you have a gift of being able to, and you're not afraid to express your opinion, and to tell people what you think,
Mm-hmm.
really, genuinely, not what they want to hear, but what you think. And you can do that honestly. People will listen to it.
And sometimes in today's society, it's really difficult. People get offended by what you say or don't say, but you have someone you can banter with. You are both on different playing fields. It's you can understand the conversation a little better.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, people get a little too offended at everything these days. And, there's some things that, rightly so, shouldn't be said or shouldn't be talked about. Or it's not that they shouldn't be talked about, they just shouldn't be um, put in a positive light.
Mm-hmm.
Hating people should not be put in a positive light. It shouldn't be cool to take your big pickup truck and run somebody over. That shouldn't be cool. You should be scorned for that. You should be disliked for that. But there's a certain element in our society today to which life is cheap for them, and they don't care about the other person. They're just there for themselves.
Yep. We recently lost a couple of legends in our in sports. You ever meet John Madden?
Did I ever meet John Madden? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
several times.
What was John Madden like?
I interviewed him a bunch of times. I sat next to him at a table once. He seemed to be just a regular good guy. He seemed to be very much what he was on the radio
Mm-hmm.
and on television. That was his persona. He was probably one of the truest people on radio and on television than most people that do his job.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And we recently lost John Clayton. Can you share a little about John Clayton? Were you guys friends? Were you friends? I'm sure with John Clayton, weren't you?
yeah, we were very good friends. John, John. I just was talking about John last night.
Mm.
Uh, Listen, this was a guy that knew his sport better than the people that ran the sport knew it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he do any question about any team. The right guard, the backup right tackle on the Dolphins, he would know.
Yeah, but could also, you see, here's the trick. I can give you 20 people that can tell me who the backup right tackle on the Dolphins is, but can you give me 20 people out of those 20 if you can find one that can present it in an entertaining and memorable way?
Oh, definitely.
And that's what John was able to do. He did it without yelling. He did it by being the geek.
Yeah, that's true.
John was a geek. He was a football geek.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd be the first to admit that. But he had a heart of gold. He was a guy who helped me out in my career several times. And he was a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
He wasn't a backstabber. And there's a lot of people in this business that are. There's people that and they'll pat your back with one hand and pick your pocket with the other.
He was truly the professor, man. He knew anything and everything. And the way he presented on the radio, I listened to him on Saturdays quite a bit. Him and Irish Mankey would go round and round. It was fun to hear. I had Dick Fain on a little bit ago on sports radio. I talked to him. He and John shared Saturdays as well for a number of years. So yes, I just enjoy. I'll miss him for sure, but I enjoy hearing stories about him as well.
Yeah, he was just a really good guy. Him and his wife. They used to. I used to do some Saturdays. Like I would do the Mariners post game or something like that when we did a show on Saturday, and John would come in after the show, and we'd sit in the studio and talk a lot. And him and his wife. His wife always came in with him. His wife traveled with him and everything.
Yep.
And yeah, he was just a hell of a guy, man. He was just a good guy, and I'll I miss him to this day. I miss the guy.
This podcast is about sharing encouragement and positivity, and you have been involved in helping the community and doing a tremendous impact. I went to your website. You've helped to raise a lot of money in different organizations. One was Buhner Buzz Cut Night. You helped raise money for cystic fibrosis. What was that like? Getting your head shaved.
Oh yeah. That was that was just a glorious moment. We raised $28,000 in one day
Oh,
for
wow.
cystic fibrosis.
And let's see,
And
you did.
for
Go ahead.
$28,000 in one day, I would have let Jay Buhner shave my entire body. We started out as kind of a joke, and it turned into a bunch of people who were ponying up money to so that he would shave my head. The original thing was if we raised, I think it was 10 grand or 5 grand or something like that, he would shave my head. I would let him shave my head. And we wound up, like I said, raising $28,000.
That's
and
amazing.
having like a few thousand people come down to watch it when he shaved my head right outside the Safeco Field.
Yep.
And I remember the people from Supercuts came, or was it Hair Masters? I forget, one of the chain haircut places. Might have been Hair Masters. They came down and they had a bunch of people there, and they were giving free haircuts out. But it was a great thing because cystic fibrosis was one of Jay's charities. He did the golf tournament for them for years, him and Randy Johnson. Then he did it with Dan Wilson. And it was it's just it's the kind of thing you do when you're in radio. I mean, part of being in radio is to be active in your community. And if you see an opportunity to help people, you take it, because the people that have these jobs are very blessed. You know, it's a privilege to go to work each morning and entertain people. And part of getting that privilege is that you should be giving back. And that's how I was able to, that and several other things along the way.
They got you and Sean Alexander, the Salvation Army. You're ringing bells for those guys.
Yeah, we did that. We did our pennies from heaven for the baseball strike when Michael and I stood out on the corner of Queen Anne Avenue, and we had people take the pennies off of their dresser tops and their penny jars and bring them down and dump them in a barrel, so that, because it was the baseball strike, and people, the Mariners stopped contributing to the Fremont Public Association and their program to buy babies formula and feed babies. And we were able to raise more money on one day than the Mariners would have had to pay out if they would have hit like 125 home runs.
Wow.
That year.
That's amazing.
So we were, I was very proud of that. That we were able to step in, and that those people would, and then on top of it, I think it was whoever the cell phone company was. Now I forget which cell phone company it was, but one of the cell phone companies stepped in and said, "Well, for every penny you raise, we'll match it." So they got double the bank. It was whatever cell phone company was sponsoring that for the Mariners.
Okay.
They said, "We'll take our money that we were going to pay the Mariners and we'll give it to you and the Fremont Public Association." So we raised, I think it wound up being $25,000 or $30,000 somewhere around there in one day.
That's amazing.
and it all went for baby formula. There was no administrative cost or anything like that. It's go out, buy the formula. It was Baby Boost was the name of the program.
Okay.
And, again, we got a chance to do something good. We saw something that was missing, and we tried to make up for it. We tried to help out.
So you got a beer for the Mario Lemieux Foundation as well, right?
Yeah. When I first got to, we continued. I mean, listen, I think, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. Part of this job entails that you do good for people, which is lost, I think, today in many of these younger people that have these shows now. I don't know that they do the same type of stuff that we did for whatever reason, and I'm not judging anybody. But when I came up, you had a show. A station, when they hired you, they wanted to know, okay, what did you do for your community?
Yeah.
What did you do to make the world a better place? And I would have done it anyway. If I was, if I was driving a cab, I would have, done something to help people out. But and of course, the proudest moment of that was the whole baseball stadium and football stadium thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it was not for us at KJR, and I'll take a lap for this. If it wasn't for, running back and forth to Olympia and getting people excited about it, and going to the different city council meetings and county council meetings, Mariners would be an afterthought here, and so would the Seahawks.
Yep.
And that was my proudest moment, was to be able to, I don't want to say lead the charge, but to certainly get people aroused and out to vote.
Right.
And people to put pressure on elected officials here who were absolutely ready to let both the Mariners and the Seahawks walk.
Yep, pack their bags and go. Yep, sure were.
And to me, we took on the power in this city, and we said that you have programs for this and programs for that, but what does the average person want? We want to go. An average working person wants to go to a ball game, wants to go to a football game. They don't mind paying the money for it. So give us a little something too.
Mm-hmm.
And we put the pressure on, and they finally decided to do something.
This podcast originated about 4 months ago or so in my head for a while, but all the stuff we're going through, and I want to just share encouragement with people and have on you and many others to share their story and how they're encouraging their communities and who inspired them. How are you? Are you still encouraging your community, hanging out with different areas and doing different things?
Yeah. And you know what? It is the small things that you do, especially in this time that we live in, where it is so screwed up and everybody's just biting at everybody's heels. But it is you don't have to give $1 million to a charity. You don't have to run 50 miles. You don't have to. I'll tell you something that I do, and I've done this for years. Every Mother's Day, every Veterans Day, and usually Thanksgiving weekend, that time of Thanksgiving, I go to a flower shop like a Trader Joe's or something like that, and I buy a couple of bouquets of flowers, 3, 4, 5 bouquets. Cost me, $35, $40. And I take those bouquets and I go over to a nursing home, to a rehab facility, to something like that. And I go to the front desk and I say, please, I know that there's people in here who didn't have a visitor today. It's Mother's Day, and I'm sure that you have people in here that had no visitors. Please give them these flowers. Just tell them somebody. And it, it's a small thing, but it's something that you can do. It takes you 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough. I've put it on social media every year that I've been able to do it. Or before that, I just used to say to people on the show, "Hey, this is Mother's Day coming up. Why don't you do this?" And I've gotten the satisfaction of walking into a place and the person at the front desk looking at me and going, "Geez, you're the fifth person that's been here today with flowers." And I couldn't have felt sweeter about it,
A lot of
because I
times,
know that I made that happen. I encourage people to make that happen.
yeah. When you make encouragement contagious, you can definitely make ripples, and it spreads like wildfire. And I'm sure a lot of shut-ins in the nursing homes and whatnot probably get forgotten at times if they have no family. So it's amazing what you're doing. It's very inspiring.
Well, I know how it feels to be there and to be somebody who's in a nursing home and is recovering from a serious illness, and I know what that's like. So I know how those places are, and they're on holidays, especially. They're horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see other people's families come, and either you don't have anybody, or you're, for whatever reason, they don't come see you. They live far away. They moved away. They did this. This way, somebody gets a little something, for a holiday. I did it 1 year with Valentine. I went out and bought a case of chocolates, and I learned a lesson. You probably shouldn't give people in a nursing home a lot of chocolate.
That's
Just saying.
That's pretty good.
Next time the front desk person see me coming, she says, "I hope you're not carrying chocolates, pal." And I'm
Bring the
kick
flowers
your ass
back.
right out of here.
Yeah. Hey, you have a website people can check out and see what you're doing and just kind of follow you?
Now say that again. I'm sorry.
You get a website or a podcast? People can follow you?
Yeah. You can always find me on Facebook. Just
Okay.
New York Vinnie. Or I got a website, NewYorkVinnie.com. And you can always email me there and send me a note, a love letter, or tell me how much you hate me. Tell me to go back to New York. Tell me to stick to sports, whatever you want to tell me. We do hunt down people who make death threats, though. I'll tell you that right now. And the guy, you don't want to meet the guy who hunts you down for the death threats.
Yeah. I love you, Vinny.
Yeah, he's not a guy you want to meet.
I just really appreciate it. And thank you very much for your taking time out of your busy day. And I've always been a big fan of yours and Michael Knight, and just catching you, even when you did Mariners for a while. I've been living in Washington since, God, I'm 51 now. So
wow.
28 years, somewhere in there. And so I really appreciate all you do and helping the community and making a tremendous impact and encouraging others. And you said it earlier, the smallest thing we do can be a huge thing for somebody else. Getting the door for someone, saying,
hold the door for somebody.
Yeah.
Be cognizant of people around you and smile at somebody. Say hello to somebody. Just don't look down and walk by. Smile at somebody.
Yep.
Say hello to them. You never know who you're doing that to. You never know what people are going through. You could be the only person that talked to that person that day.
Yeah. So true. Well, thank you very much for the time. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best in all you do. And thank you.
Thanks. You too, Jody. Good talking to you, man. I appreciate it.
Have an amazing day and just take care of yourself.
All right. You too. Stay positive, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good time bar with sure for me. Not be for you, but it's for me. Yeah, I'm a hard-working, hard-headed SOB. I might drink too much, play a little too loud, ride my Harley too fast around this old town. And it might not be the life for you, but it's damn sure for me. Yeah, it's damn sure for me.
This episode of Chit and Chat was brought to you by Veteran Roasters Coffee. Each purchase of Veteran Roasters Coffee helps employ one of tens of thousands of U.S. military veterans who have found hardship and difficulty upon transitioning home from service. They promise you the best beans from the best veteran-owned coffee company. Veterans helping veterans one cup at a time. Use the code CHITCHAT25 to receive 25% off your purchase at veteranroasters.com.
Thank you so much for being part of the podcast today and listening in to Joel Gibson Jr.'s music and interview with New York Vinnie, as well as a little tidbit from Veterans Roasters Coffee with Braden Marty. He shares about his amazing company and helping veterans. Thank you for being part of this show. Hope you can continue to subscribe and support us and follow us, and we'll be here next week. Have a great day. This is Chit and Chat, encouraging one another podcast.